Collectibles Exchange recently had a Nintendo Switch tournament where the first place got a medal for it. So you actually can earn medals winning these events. So if you guys are like glory seekers who are also Edison players, you can definitely show up to Collectibles Exchange and try to earn your medals and also earn your spot in how well you can play this meta. So eighth place we have a deck list by Mr. Min Zhang. Min Zhang here is a local what is it? A local Lightsworn player who's also a part of the San Diego crew. So a shout out to them. I think they're called the Four Apocalypse or the Four Horsemen. I can never remember team names, but yeah, Ming Zen actually took a Lightsworn deck, and he took a list with two Glorious Illusion and Call the Haunted, as well as Lightsworn Barrier. So you can actually see its teched out version of it, and it's very cool because it plays more traps. So a lot of people tend to side out trap cards against the Lightsworn deck, or spell and trap removal against Lightsworn deck. But when they do that, you can just keep in your trap cards and then actually do something with the trap cards. Trap cards like Beckoning Light is really useful in Lightsworns because you can actually just fetch in your JDs and your Onuses and your Lila to be able to pop Oppression and then be able to clear the back row and then go in with your JD. So that's kind of the cool thing about it. It plays also the Monster Reincarnation as well. So it looks like it's going to be playing both Monster Reincarnation and as well as Beckoning Light to be able to retrieve the JD because JD is most likely going to be milled. If you have cards that can fetch cards from the graveyard, it's better than to get the cards out of the graveyard than to actually hard draw it. Hard drawing it's a little bit better sometimes because you have the element of surprise on your favor, so that's always a good thing. So yeah, that's the only thing that I can notice about the main deck. He does play the Tragodia. I think most decks in Lightsworn do play Tragodia as a form of defensive hand trap, but they also play the Necro Gardener to pretty much defend the card troopers so they can mill more. That's kind of essentially it. And then you also want to tribute Celestia, but I noticed that he only plays two Celestia, so being able to play Celestia and then tribute off a Raikou to mill an additional four cards. Hopefully able to hit the Wolf. I think you guys all know how the Lightsworn works, so I'm not going to explain it too much. He does play the one Arcus, so that he makes it so that it's hard to target these guys, even in the graveyard. So the ruling is if there's a Lightsworn in the graveyard and you have a DD Crow, if they had DD Crow or Soul Release, if Arcus is face up on the field, they can't Soul Release or DD Crow the Lightsworn monsters out of the graveyard. So this makes it so that the Lightsworn JD, or JD, he's not a Lightsworn, Judgment Dragon can come out and then he can just blow up the field safely. If you guys don't know what Lightsworn Barrier does, I think every end phase it mills 2, but it also negates an attack once per turn if it's declared on a Lightsworn monster. I'm not entirely sure what the effect is, but I think that's what the effect does. It's just an extra form of defense so that they would have to waste another attack. They can waste a big attack on a big monster, so you don't have to use Honest. Yeah, that's what it plays. In the side deck, he plays a Consecrated Light. Makes sense because it is a light monster and also a fairy, but he is not playing Chrysosworn, so he has to draw into Consecrated Light or get it off of Beckoning Light from resolving it. So that's one way you can do it. Then he has Sides of Cyber Dragon, pretty typical. Two DD Crows in the side deck as well for the mirror match. And then he also side decks a card that hasn't seen much side deck play. It's called Trap Eater. Trap Eater is a card that if your opponent has a face-up continuous trap card, you can send it to the field from the field to the graveyard as a cost. So this way, if it is oppression, you can send the oppression to the graveyard as a cost, and then actually special summon Trap Eater. Trap Eater is also a fiend monster as a level 4. And it's also a tuner. So you can actually do synchro plays with the Trap Eater. So I imagine Ming here was able to use Trap Eater as a synchro material with one of his Lightsworn monsters to make really good synchro plays. So I can see him making a Avenging Parshath because Avenging Parshath only requires a non-tuner light monster. So you can actually make that easier with Trap Eater. But you can also use it to make Stardust for the mirror match. I also see that he has two Mistworms in his extra or side deck. In his extra deck, and then he's able to use this effect twice. I'm not sure how he can make two in a game, but it looks like he can make it easy. The only way I know how they do it is to use Lumina with a level 4 and Plague Spreader Zombie. But I guess there's another way to do it. He does play one hamster as well. So that helps with the Mistborn plays. He plays a Prohibition in the side deck. Not entirely sure why he sides it. Prohibition is one of those cards that is very like meta dependent. So depending on if the meta shifts away from power cards being used in games like 100% of the time, then you can just call Prohibition and then call whatever you're trying to stop. He plays two Smashing Ground. I guess that's Thunder King Ryo. I guess Thunder King Ryo is coming back in the format. I'm not entirely sure, but Smashing Ground can deal with Thunder King Ryo, so you can safely special summon Judgment Dragon. Yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I think that he side decks Smashing Ground. He also side decks Master Restrict here. Master Restrict is one of those cards that stops Frog Monarchs, even Hero Frogs to some extent. It stops the Subtoad line and it stops the Monarch line. So being able to stop Subtoad so they can't dump with Swap Frog is kind of huge, unless they hard draw Swap Frog and try to dump stuff. Then he has the Royal Decree, which is pretty standard in Lightsworns to stop the Light Imprisoning Mirror, because Light Imprisoning Mirror does stop Lightsworns from milling at the end phase, and that's why he sides deck. I think the extra deck is probably unused until the game 2s and 3. He does have the Red Dragon Archfiend, which is pretty surprising, but I guess he wants a beat stick to run over Titanial, I guess. So he doesn't have to make Colossal, but I'd rather have Colossal than Red Dragon. So I think this is more for Recruiters then, in my opinion, so that he can just attack over a Recruiter, even DD Warrior Lady too, to prevent the effect from resolving. But yeah, it's pretty much staple. He does have the two Chimera tech in the side deck. I'm the extra deck, so it makes sense that Lightsworn doesn't use his extra deck very often, so might as well just put two Chimera techs in there. All right, congratulations for the top 8 to Min Zhang. We're going to go to the 7th place here. 7th place, we had the Hero Frogs by Sean Armstrong, so congrats to Sean Armstrong for a 7th place finish. He does play the deck that Fraser Smith played, I think, but he also plays Threatening Roar, so that's the difference here. Threatening Roar, I imagine he wants to use it also for the mirror match, as it is able to lock out, for some reason, if they have a Vanity's Fiend and you have a set Dewfrog, you can just T-Roar and then they can't attack anymore, so that you can just tribute your Dewfrog or any monster you have set for a Shadow Monarch and just banish the Vanity's Fiend. I think that's the primary utility. It's also good in time too, because lately tournaments nowadays don't do the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as it was traditionally done. Nowadays it's just end of phase. So end of phase, I'm pretty sure you could just flip T-Roar and just conserve your life points from a battle attack. So yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, and he plays the one Regeki Break and the one Mirror Force. So very teched out in the traps. He plays the one Soul Exchange, probably because he's afraid of main deck Vanity's Fiend, so that he could just have a tribute fodder for his Caiuses. But all in all, it's pretty much standard Hero Frog stuff. Not much I'll say. He plays the one Jeng Synchron, the one Ryza. Seems to be very close to what Fraser Smith is doing. His side deck, he does side deck to Sirocco, so I guess he's afraid of Blackwings and Value Turbo, so he's able to have a monster that can do a lot of damage just by pumping the Sirocco up to infinite. He has the two Cyber Dragons in side deck, three DD Crows, one Dark Dust Spirit. I don't know why. Maybe he is afraid of the mirror match where they Duke Frog lock him, but Duke Frog lock is not really good in the mirror match, so I'm not entirely sure why he sides the Dark Dust Spirit. Also, you probably don't want to side deck any Spirit monsters in this metagame because of Legacy of Yatagarasu. That card is really just degenerate against Spirit decks because if you have Legacy of Yatagarasu and they have a Dark Dust Spirit, you're drawing two cards. So it's a +1 trap card. Then he also plays the 3 Vanity's Fiend, which makes sense in the mirror match because they can prevent them from special summon. He also side decks the Nobleman of Extermination, which is a really good spell and trap removal, very forgotten. Unfortunately, it only destroys face down spell and trap, so if it's a continuous trap card, you can just chain it and then it'll just stay face up, and then Nobleman across out or Extermination won't be able to remove it from the board. But it is able to stop all the copies of the card from being resolved for subsequent turns. You can hit an Icarus attack, and then they would lose all their Icarus attack. You can hit a D prison, and they would lose all their D prison. And if you hit a bottomless, you can hit all the bottomless. So I guess that's good on that. So he can just not worry about siding like Mobius to deal with back rows. And he also sides the Dust Tornado. His extra deck, he does play the Gaia, the Elemental Hero Gaia. So that's not common anymore, I believe. It's because it's hard to get an Earth monster. So he does his only Earth monster I see in his main deck is his Malicious, because it is an Earth, not a Dark monster. So you can use that to make the Gaia. So in the event that you can just do it. You can also do it with the Dark Dust Spirit, I guess. But mostly it's going to be the centralized around these three monsters. He does play a Junk Synchron, so the Junk Synchron or the Junk Warrior, sorry, not Junk Synchron. The Junk Warrior is able to pump up to, I believe, if you're going Junk Synchron into Swap Frog, the Junk Synchron would, or the Junk Warrior would be able to gain the 1,000 attack. So this can become a 3,300 attack monster, ideally, I guess. Assuming you don't use the Swap Frog as a material. Oftentimes, when you're normal summoning the Junk Synchron, you're gonna have to have a different level 2 monster if you want to get a boost up. So I'm not entirely sure how to make the Junk Synchron gain any attack other than Treeborn Frog. The Treeborn Frog was only 100, so Junk Warrior would only go up to 2,400 attack. So I'm sure there's frog plays. I'm not a frog player, so I'm sure there's a way to make the Junk Warrior really strong. And then he plays the Bryanak because Treeborn Frog and Junk Synchron with level 2 can make Bryanak. You can bounce things like Master Restrict, which is often sided against you to be able to out it, and then do your plays like Tribute for Caius or whatever on the following turns. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Sean Armstrong. So good luck, good for congrats to Sean Armstrong for second place. This is a first place winning deck profile, but he got sixth place in Swiss. So we've already seen this deck list already shown to us in the video a week ago. So if you guys want to watch a more in-depth deck profile, I recommend that you watch that video. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys are too lazy to click. So yeah, enough of that. Congrats to Sergio for first place and sixth place in Swiss. In fifth place, we have Carlos Castaneda. He decided to play the Diva hero list that is not common that he would play. He commonly plays Diva zombies, so he decided to switch over. Why not? Instead of playing the Diva zombies, he's going to play Diva heroes. So it still plays the Deep Sea Diva engine, but quite a little bit quite different because it does play the Absolute Zero. So the deck list is pretty teched out for the trap. He main decks Deck Devastation Virus. Not entirely sure why he main decks Deck Devastation Virus. Maybe he wants to tribute off I guess a Gores and Caius. This deck is really Caius heavy and Gores heavy, so you can see that play. You could also make it with Malicious and Plague Spreader Zombie or Deep Sea Diva. You can tribute off the Dark End Dragon. But yeah, I guess he main decks it because he does have access to 2,000 or more attack monsters. But it's not recommended that to main deck this, but he main decks it. He also main decks a Mind Crush. I'm not really sure why he main decks Mind Crush. I guess he wants to pair it with the Trap Dust Shoot. Yeah, with Trap Dust Shoot, you can see their hand, and then after a resolution, you can call Mind Crush and hit something else. I guess it's good because you can actually just call cards you're afraid of. Miracle Fusion is one of those cards that are highly anticipated in the mirror match. So I think the player who resolves the most Miracle Fusion is often the winner, so I think he has a Mind Crush for that. He also has Return from a Different Dimension, which is commonly not seen, or it's actually seeing play now in Diva Heroes, but sometimes it's not. So I really don't know what the consensus is anymore for Diva Heroes. But if they do play the one, Carlos does play the one copy of it, and he plays a Solemn Judgment, which is pretty common. Not much else to say. He plays a Snowmanor in the main deck, just like Oscar Ruano's list. He did play two. Oscar did play two back in the day, but it looks like Carlos opted to go for one. He plays the Sangan too, so I guess he wants to search for Deep Sea Diva more consistently. And he does play the double Prodigy so that he can do the Prodigy Caius line when he needs to push. Also side decks, he also main decks Compulsory, so I guess that's really good in the mirror match as well. Being able to get rid of the Absolute Zero without losing or committing any of your monsters in the process is really nice. Side deck, he does side decks Prohibition. It seems to be a weird trend in the SoCal area to side deck one Prohibition to deal with cards that you just don't want to deal with. One DD Crow just to probably interrupt synchro plays or also the Miracle Synchro plays, Miracle Fusion plays. Two Falsodyna, I guess he doesn't have really much back row protection, so I guess Falsodyna is used proactively when you summon the Absolute Zero and then normal summon the Falsodyna, so they waste their battle phase to run over the Falsodyna somehow, and then if they have an Absolute Zero next to it, then they can't Miracle Fusion and then do damage because they have to deal with the Absolute Zero currently on the board. Looks like he sides the second Snowmanor. Snowmanor is pretty good against, I guess, the hero matchups, because the hero beat matchup relies a lot on Alias to be able to run over stuff. But yeah, I can't see another reason why. Maybe to stop like Falsodynas in the side deck, so it's like a counter side strategy. Thunder King Ryle for Lightsworns, so I guess Lightsworns see more play as of late. So Thunder King Ryle can negate the inherent special summon of Lightsworns as well as Dark Arm as well. So those are really good. Also subs Christia too, so for those of you guys who don't know, Thunder King Ryle can just negate the inherent special summon of Christia, so that's also good. Also side decks one My body's a shield. Maybe for the matchup for maybe to deal with um maybe to deal with like if you go to Caius and you banish an absolute zero, you can just my body's a shield to stop it. This deck I don't think loses too hard to deck Devastation Virus. I do see some monsters under 1500 attack, but you kind of want. I guess Deep Sea Diva is huge, so I guess that makes sense. So if you have Deep Sea Diva, but I don't see people citing this against deck Devastation Virus. But yeah, that's just me. Besides the Nobleman and Crossout too, I guess against Quick Draw, if they ever see play, Quick Draw does like to set hamsters and Rykos, so it's really good against going second. You can just deal with the the set monster without attacking to it, and then just normal summon Stratos or just normal summon Sangan, whatever it is, whatever it is that they do going first. Diva seems to be a deck that likes to go second, or does well going second, but not so well going first. The best play they have going first is to summon Stratos, but or normal summon Diva into Gilman, or set Reaper, or set Snowmanor, or set Sangan, and set some traps. That seems to be the common first turn play. And then he has pulling the rug, or he has Light Mirror for Lightsworn matchup, and he has two pulling the rugs for Monarchs. And also, even in Diva Hero Beat, they like to summon Divas and go into Gilman, so you can pulling the rug that. But you can also pull in the Rogue Stratos too. That's really devastating. Then we have two roll decree here to be able to lock out any back row. Not entirely sure what back rows people side against Diva Heroes. My guess is probably something like compulsory and D prisons to trade one for ones with absolute zero. But that's my guess. Then he main decks the guy here, so I guess he wants to go feature fusion, dump the Falso Dyna, but he doesn't have Call to Haunt it in his main deck, so he'll have to destroy, send the Earth somehow to make the Gaia. But Gaia seems to be a last resort monster, anyways. Very rarely gone into. His extra deck's pretty standard. I think the only thing that's different is Red Dragon Archfiend. I guess Fairies has been seeing a lot more play now, so Red Dragon Archfiend can deal with the face down recruiter monsters as well as the Word Lady. Not much to say, but yeah, congrats to Carlos Castaneda for fifth place. This is the list for Ruben Santana, so congrats to Ruben for fourth place. With the Diva Hero list that does play the Armageddon Knight, immediately I noticed that, and he doesn't play the Dark Grepher, so it looks like he opted not to go for the Dark Grepher, whereas I believe Carlos did decide to play Grepher. No, it looks like, yeah, he did play Gruffer, so it looks like I see the Gruffer here. But for Mr. Ruben Santana here, he does play the Armageddon Knight instead of the Dark Gruffer. Okay, he also plays the Tragodia and the Treeborn Frog to dump off the Future Fusion. And then he plays main deck Smashing Ground, so very interesting. Maybe he wants to deal with like first turn Catastor, maybe, and then he just can't deal with it, so he just Smashing Grounds it. I think that's the only reason, maybe like to stop Falso Dyna too in the main deck, but I'm not entirely sure. He does have the one Regeki break, so I guess he took out the second Regeki break for the Smashing Ground. His side deck looks like pretty standard. He plays the Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer, to prevent Miracle Fusions from resolving, but also Chaos decks that use Chaos Sorcerer, and yeah, I can't see any other reason. Vayu, I guess, it stops Vayu, I'm sorry. It stops Vayu from using the Vayu's effect to banish itself from the graveyard. He also side decks the Vanity's Fiend, Falso Dyna, Snowmander. Seems to be a very common trend of side decking, just to side deck one ofs. So it looks like he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, 10 because this is supposed to be the second pull in the rug here. So he actually plays 9 one of side decks. So pretty interesting on that part. Side deck, he does play the Mistworm. That's interesting. But other than that, it's pretty standard. It doesn't play in the Gaia, and he does main deck the Chimera Tech Fortress. So yeah, Decree. I don't know what Diva Heroes side is Decree for. Maybe against the opposing D Prison, but I guess they do have the best monsters. So I guess that's what they're trying to do is have the best monsters and just shut off the trap cards essentially. Yeah, congratulations to Ruben Santana for fourth place. On the next one. Next place we got Carlos Zelaya. So some of you guys on my Instagram page have pointed out that there's 3 Cyber Dragon. So I'm not the TO of this event. So whoever the TO was for deck check just missed out that Cyber Dragon is actually supposed to be a 2. I sometimes miss that too as well, but I did not do the deck check on this one. So there's supposed to be only 2 Cyber Dragons in the event, but he played 3. So yeah, very common mistake. I guess it's yeah, to play 3 Cyber Dragon in the side deck. Probably didn't matter as much as he is on 43 cards, but it kind of does matter sometimes because he can more likely draw the Cyber Dragon. I don't think there was much Machina Gadget players anyways, so the Cyber Dragon was probably mostly used for synchro material and beat stick for the most part. He does play the two Arcuses here to stop the synchroing or to stop the targeting effects by Frog Monarchs. And then he also has the Gale too, which is surprising to me. But Gale could synchro with Lila to make Arcanite Magician. Let's see, he plays Arcanite Magician, and he does. So he does play the Arcanite Magician. He side decks the Dust Shoot for going first, but he does not main deck it. So which is makes sense because he's on a Decree, the Decree line with the Beckoning Light. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Not much else to say other than the fact that it's 43. It's a generally just a pure Lightsworn deck with hamsters in it. The only thing I can see now differently is that he's on Giant Trunade. Giant Trunade is one of those cards that can just proc Solemn Judgment, but it won't proc Starlit Road, which is fine. It won't proc Starlit Road, so that when you drop JD, you're kind of safe. So yeah, it forces a Dark Bribe if some people play it too, so you can get a +1. But for the most part, I think they just want to drop double JD and normal summon a Lightsworn monster that's I don't know, big, and then attack for game. But yeah, congratulations to third place to Mr. Carlos Zelaya. But on to the next one. Second place, we have Alex Pinito. Some of you guys actually know this guy. He's Totogon Plays on YouTube as well as Twitch, so make sure you guys follow him. He's a new YouTuber, and he's also a very veteran Twitch streamer. So I think he's the only one on Twitch doing Edison content. So he wants to expand outwards to YouTube. Multi-platform is the way. He decided to play Diva Heroes, so he's playing the Dark Refer package without the Armageddon Knight like Mr. Ruben Santana. So pretty standard list, except for the main deck Speed Reaper. Maybe he wants to go for the hand. It makes sense he wants to go for the hand because of frogs being prevalent in the meta. You want to be able to hit cards out of the frog player's hands so that they don't have a big good play. You can maybe hit like a Miracle Fusion. I could see that happening in the mirror match. But other than that, it's a dark monster that you can have towards your Dark Arm count. Does he play Dark Arm Dragon? Yes, he does. So yeah, he does play the Dark Arm. So he also plays a Return, which makes sense. And he plays a main deck Mind Control for the Diva, and a main deck two main deck Gold Sarcophagus to see either his Feature Fusion, his Miracle Fusion, or his Giant Trunade. Does he play Giant? Yeah, he plays Giant Trunades in the side deck. So it seems to be the trend here to Giant Trunade people in games 2 and 3, in case they side deck to continuous trap cards. But not much to say. I think he sides the deck devastation virus in case he plays against small synchro decks such as Quick Draw, but even fairies too. So I guess he has an out to fairies with the deck devastation virus. He also side decks the Master Restrict for the frog matchup, and he also has the Mind Crush as well. Yeah, side deck, his extra deck's pretty standard. I don't see anything different. So yeah, again, congrats to second place to Alex Pinito in Swiss. On to the next one, and in first place we have a frog list that's pretty unique. This is Juan Carlos Orozco. This guy is the owner of Imperium Duelist. So if you guys want your playmats done by Imperium Duelist, I know a lot of you guys already know him, so this extra press won't do much for him. But in case you guys don't, he does playmats, custom playmats that are on player's choice mats or player mats. What is it called? Cloth play mats. He does cloth play mats that are custom. So if you guys want to support his business, he actually got first place in Swiss with the frog list. He plays the two Destalls. He loves Destalls, but what he also loves is Death Frog because it's a monster that you can get off of Substitute. If you trip it off a frog, you have a 1900 beat stick. He just wanted a 1900 beat stick that you can have off of Substitute. He also plays Diva, so I guess this is a Diva Frog list with Destallos and Caius's and Rises. He also plays one Light and Darkness Dragon so that he can bring back a Death Frog from his graveyard or a Monarch Monsters. I'm not entirely sure why he plays it. He also main decks the Nobleman of Extermination. Again, I don't know what people side this for in Frogs. Maybe especially in Game 1, maybe to hit like bottomless trap holes so that your monsters go through. But it makes sense if you're hitting pulling the rug in the side deck for game 2 and 3. I'm just not entirely sure why he main decks it. Maybe he just wants to ensure that his normal summons don't get stopped by any trap cards. He is on 2 creatures hub, so I guess you can normal special summon the Treeborn Frog from the graveyard in attack position, and then activate pulling the rug, and then have the bigger monster. You can just give him the Salt Frog or give him the Treeborn Frog so that you have something to go. He's on triple junk Synchron, so it's harder to stop with Master Restrict. So if he does side deck the Master Restrict, which he doesn't, this would actually enable you to do synchro plays. He's only on 2 Battle Faders, so very interesting because most Frog players like to go for 3, but I guess nowadays Battle Fader is not as important as it used to be, especially with Deck Devastation Virus being at main a very commonly side deck card. He does main deck the Battle Fader to stop presses so that you can just bounce back with the Monarch. Pretty common list back in the day for Frog Monarch, but he does play the Treacherous Trap Hole. The Treacherous Trap Hole is able to deal with monsters that can attack during the battle phase. So if you're afraid of monsters attacking you for game, you have the Treacherous Trap Hole. A lot of people think that when they attack directly into the Diva Frog board, that they'll just go Battle Fader. But if you have a sneaky Treacherous Trap Hole to deal with the attacking monsters, you can actually preserve your life points that way as well. Side deck, he plays Autonomous Action Unit. I did not ask him why he plays Autonomous Action Unit. It's one of those weird cards that you pay 1,500 life points to special summon a monster in attack position from your opponent's graveyard, and then it equips it to it, and then if this card leaves the field, it destroys the monster it was equipped it to. So not entirely sure what he sides it for. So I don't know why he would want to pay 1,500 life points, but I guess it's an extra body you can put on the board. But yeah. Side decks Kaiku as well. Kaiku is really useful against Vayu Turbo, so you can stop the Vayus from banishing each other. But against Vayu Turbo, they have Raikou. They also have Hamsters to bring out the Raikou, and they also have Sirocco to run over Kaiku. So he's going to have to rely on traps, and this is not a deck that plays trap cards except for enemy controller. So I guess enemy controller is going to stop whatever tries to run over the Kaiku, but it doesn't stop Raikou. He side decks another Light and Darkness Dragon, so it makes sense because he's on 3 enemy controller. You can steal a monster, special summon the Treeborn Frog, bring it back out because it's still standby phase, and then tribute for Light and Darkness Dragon. That's kind of the old idea. He side decks the Mirror Force and the Needle Ceiling, so it looks like he's trying to opt for going for like the unpredictable factor, where people expect that Battle Fader gets dropped down, but then they get surprised by a Mirror Force that comes up to stop the battle attack, and then you just blow up the whole board, and then yeah, pretty much stall out from there. He plays his 2 salvages, probably to recycle divas, but also to recycle. I have no idea why he plays salvage. Maybe he expects to dump. I have no idea why he side decks salvage. So you'll have to excuse me on that one. I can't predict. He does side deck 2 Snowmanders, maybe to stop like I don't know, like Vanity's Fiend, and also Falsodyna, but also Banisher the Radiance if he's playing against stun. So this is like the anti-stun monster where you just set it and just deal with any problematic monster, and his high defense is able to make him survive against most attacks. Most attacks against stun decks. He does side decks the Soul Exchange, 2 of them for the Vanity's Fiend as well. So he's really afraid of the stun package that happens on the game 2 and 3. So he has an out to it using this with Vanity's Fiend. Also side decks 1 Unicorn or Unifrog. The Unifrog is able to deal with the pulling the rugs and Master Restrict. So he's able to side that in. But the thing is, with Master Restrict, you can't tribute summon Substoad to bring out the Unifrog because that would be considered tributing. So he has to hard draw this if he's dealing with the Master Restrict. Then he side decks once Torrential, and again it's just to phase out people into thinking that most of their monsters are safe. Then they flip Torrential, and then they get a 2-for-1. He gets a 2-for-1 off of that, or even a 3-for-1 depending on the circumstances. His extra deck, I don't think he goes into it much. No, I lied. He plays the Junk Synchron. So he does play the Herbellum. That's the first thing I noticed. Maybe when he plays against the Dragon Turbo matchup, he wants to make it them brick for another turn, if it ever happens. So he has that ability to make it brick. And he also has Junk Warrior and Urquazes to be able to pierce. But other than that, it's pretty standard. He does play the Arcanite Magician. The Arcanite Magician is interesting because he needs a spellcaster non-tuner. So I imagine he thinks he's going to steal Lila, I guess. But I see the Kaiku in the side deck. So if Kaiku still remains alive, he can normal summon the Junk Synchron to make the Arcanite Magician. But yeah, that's all the deck list for the Collectibles Exchange. In another video, I'll cover a Wildcard Cyclone that had an event for that, so just stay tuned for that one. But yeah, this was the deck list. There was no Blackwings in the top 8 of Collectibles Exchange, so Blackwings doesn't seem to see much plays in the Inland Empire, but when you head towards LA, that's when people love to play their Blackwing decks. But yeah, maybe Blackwings just phased out this current format or this current Edison metagame. I don't know for sure, but we'll find out in the next upcoming months of Edison. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.